Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome to the Masjid Carpark podcast, episode 15. How are you, mate?
Alhamdulillah.
What's been happening?
Just holidays now, madrasa holidays, so it's been a bit quiet.
Oh, so you've been chilling.
Yeah, a little bit too much maybe.
Yeah, I know, for sure.
Sleeping in and alhamdulillah.
Sleeping in. So what time do you sleep until now?
Alhamdulillah.
Do we need a drum roll for this?
It takes me about 3 days, and then my holiday's over. I've got so many other things to do. So it's just a break. It's a little bit of break between things.
So what, you haven't got madrasa at the moment? You've
Still got the mosque stuff to do.
Yeah. So it's just the madrasa?
It's just that 1 week before Ramadan, it's a little bit relaxed. It's quiet.
Is that both hifz and kitab?
My son's, the hifz, because my son's doing hifz. The hifz is still continuing. The hifz teachers will be teaching till mid-Ramadan.
Oh, mashallah.
So they still pick up drop-offs and all that sort of stuff.
Through Ramadan?
Yeah, because with hifz you can't give because the alim course has 6 weeks break, almost 6-7 weeks. And the hifz ones, they get 2-3 weeks.
So that's like a summer break for the alim course guys, but it's in winter.
Yeah, it just changes because Ramadan. It's Ramadan 2 weeks before Ramadan till 1 week after Ramadan. So
is just that a set thing that you have every year? It's just Ramadan?
This generally Darul Ulooms or Madaris, they have holiday, 2-month holiday, 10th of Shaban till 10th of Shawwal. That's like a standard madrasa holiday.
2 months?
2 months, yeah. 10th of Shaban till 10th of Shawwal.
But then what about the rest of the year? It's just full on?
Pretty much. There is like a 10-day, excuse me.
May the Lord bless you.
So we'll edit that out. No, we'll leave it in. So we're doing
the May the Lord bless you bit?
alhamdulillah, I guess. Alhamdulillah. But
that was my translation.
This is our first video. Video recording.
I forgot that we're on camera.
Yeah. So we pretend the camera's not there. But we
until you'd said that. I forgot that the camera was there.
No. Like, I'm mentioning this because the people are probably surprised to see us.
How's my hair look?
You look fine. You look like
how's my beard look?
You look like an Indian. You have an Indian haircut.
Right now, yeah, I know. I need a haircut.
But no, alhamdulillah, like it's this. We're gonna get better cameras, inshallah, and some brothers organising that for us.
Inshallah.
But alhamdulillah, like it's just many people did request that we should go do video camera, like video podcast. So I don't know what it adds to the.
It adds to the ambience of everyone can see my beautiful face.
Okay. Yeah.
That was for that reaction.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah, that's a change. But this week, alhamdulillah, other than that, I've just been relaxing. I started redoing, practicing archery. That was after a long time.
Yes, speaking of practicing archery, so we have this beautiful table here.
Yeah.
And if we even put our phone on it, Maulana gets, don't scratch the table. I walk in on one of the table legs. Can you tell us how that arrowhead embedded itself into the table leg?
Well, what I do is because...
But you scratched the table.
We can fix it up. I'll get Maulana Shakil to fix it
up. Here
we
go.
But I was practicing archery and one of the straight arrows. So this is a studio. Outside is the madrasa. And we're in Campbellfield in Melbourne. And outside is, I have a long sort of 15 meter.
It's not that long.
15 meters from here if I put the target here. So I can practice my archery a little bit, but.
This is when students are not present, right?
No one's here.
Yeah, let's just make that clear.
Yeah, I'm the only one here.
This is how Kashiful Ulum uses its discipline.
They put an apple on their head and make.
If I miss, it means you.
Look, I need to practice. It's been such a long time. I don't get time to do it. So this part of my break is redoing it. Alhamdulillah. Like I haven't done it for so long. So yeah, alhamdulillah.
It's quite impressive. I mean, your bow that you have. In my brain, every time you've spoken to me about archery, I'm thinking Robin Hood.
Piece of wood with a string.
Yeah, piece of wood with a string, and you pull it. But this thing looks like it was made by NASA.
It's a compound bow. And
what does compound mean?
So compounds, it's got on the top. It's right here in front of us. It's got the pulleys at the top and bottom. So when you pull it, or the cams that you pull it, it clicks in. So it takes the weight off you, but there's extra force. So when you release it, they sort of flick and push the arrow more further. I was actually pretty good today. Like I was practicing today. I was getting a cluster, like I was getting the arrows sort of in a thing. So the guy, one of my teachers, like I trained, he's like Victorian champion. I'm not sure. It's like we're talking about 20 years ago. He said that if you can't put an arrow in a dessert size plate at 40 meters, you should not be hunting. Because why? You got all these like kangaroos with arrows stuck in their bums in the outback.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it takes them maybe weeks to die. They're bleeding and so forth. So you need to get the vitals, the head or like the lung, the front, like heart, lung, that area. So if that's roughly, you need to have that much accuracy so you can get in that area. Else you just injure the animal, and because they can run for tens of kilometers, they will run for tens of kilometers, and you won't be able to find them. So it's unethical to hunt like that. So I'm trying to get to a level where to that level, inshallah, I think I can sort of at 10, 12 meters get good cluster, which is not very good. It's been a long time. I've been left it for a long time. It is actually sinful to leave it. If you know Rasulullah says in the hadith.
Is that right?
Yeah, if it's a ni'mah, it's a bounty that if you don't maintain it, like you're actually sinful for forgetting archery.
So it's like learning Quran and then forgetting ayat of Quran.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. I think I mentioned previously in the podcast how many etiquettes and
I remember that.
Like I came in, he actually practiced it. Ibn Qayyim rahmullah, he wrote about this.
Did you pray 2 rakats?
Yeah, pray 2 rakats, made dua, and then I was doing good, man. It was 1 hour. I was practicing.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. So I said, where else I'm going to do it? I'm in the madrasa. There's a prayer mat. I'm actually shooting across the prayer mat in the madrasa.
What a wali! What a wali!
No, I'm saying it's probably
was there anyone praying?
No, there's no one here.
The brother's going to sajda, he takes his shot.
Yeah. So, but alhamdulillah, like it's enjoyable. It's archery is enjoyable. Alhamdulillah.
So what about at home? Do you practice this at home? You can't.
No, because I leave everything set up here. So I'm trying to do it. I'm coming to drop off my son for hifz in the other location. So then, drop him off, pick him up. Then I got time here, come here, do some research, write some things, and then have a 1 hour break for archery. I think if I do like 4 or 5 hours a week, I think that'll be good.
What do you need to do research for?
I'm just, at the moment, I'm studying with some ulama overseas. So they're expecting me to write up some work and research. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Enjoying it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually.
Is it really?
Actually, my Google skills are very useful. When I say Google skills, I mean finding books, because everything's online now. So finding the copies of references and so forth and going into the books, I really enjoy it. Research. I don't just like there's a target given for you. All right, this is a topic. Then go, and then the teacher sort of guides you with research. So it's like a research-based thing. I really enjoyed it. They gave me one question the other day. It took me 2-3 days to write it. It's a 2-pager, but it was really nice. It was enjoyable. So
you can't just cut and paste?
No, it's properly referenced, and you have to reference it, and you can't plagiarize it. And plus, he wants me to write it in English.
Not that I'm saying for you to plagiarize. So the teacher's not English background?
He can speak English, but he wants me to write in English, because none of this stuff is available in English, so I can't plagiarize it.
Oh, subhanallah.
So I have to, at the least I have to do is translate it. So I have to actually understand what's going on, So it's very smart. Although I wanted to write it in Arabic, but he wanted me to write it in English, because there's that many people done research on these topics. So it's very easy to copy paste. But if you have to translate it, at least you have to translate it. Then it forces you to think about the topic and understand what's going on, and
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you've been doing archery. I thought you were breaker, so now you're doing research topics.
Yeah, that was my.
I'm trying to figure out what the break was. Is that the break?
The archery?
No, the research topic.
That's my break. Yeah, that's actually enjoyable. That's a break from all my other study, teaching, and so forth. That's actually.
You make me sick.
It's actually extremely enjoyable. Like it's.
So I'm guessing you don't have Netflix.
It's weird. Like when I did uni assignments and when I did masters in teaching English and so forth. I hated assignments because I hated the topics because they have no personal interest to me. But researching on a dini topic, like an ilmi topic or fiqh topic or mashallah, like it's really like it's surprisingly enjoyable. Yeah.
I'm looking at your face right now and I'm just like, this guy's a massive nerd. But at the same time, I'm happy that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
But you are a massive nerd.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading about imams and like imams who wrote. There was one imam, he dictated the whole book. He advised the ruler, Imam Sarakhsi, he advised the ruler, gave him some advice. The ruler didn't take it very well. So he put him in jail. So he
As you do.
as our rulers do. They don't take advice very well. And he dictated 30 volume book, like a masterpiece,
SubhanAllah.
in the prison to his student. And it's like a standardized, like,
When you said that, I picture this teacher sitting behind these cells,
yeah,
cell doors, and then you've got the student on the other side just writing away.
yeah. They're unbelievable. I mean, ulama, they went to jail, man. So many ulama went to jail and died in jail. It's like, when you read our history, you're amazed.
We don't know about this history.
Yeah. Like one place where the ummah excelled, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, I was sent as a
Sallallahu
teacher,
alayhi wasallam.
right? So in knowledge of the wahi, of the revelation, is how the ulama and the imams treat it. Like, it's the thing. That's why in the Quran, Rabbi zidni ilma, the dua, Allah told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Oh Allah, increase my knowledge." Rabbi zidni ilma. It didn't say, "Oh Allah, increase my taqwa or ikhlas or anything else." "Oh Allah, increase my knowledge." Because when you know what's right and wrong, you know what to do, what not to do, you know what to prioritize at this moment. That's what knowledge gives you. Nothing else can give you that. There's nothing in this dunya that can give you that.
Yeah, but if you go back to prioritize,
Fix him.
if you go back to prioritize what's right or what's wrong, I mean, the knowledge is relative to each person, and it's subjective to each person, though.
Is it?
Yeah, because some people knowledge of certain thing might be priority, unless you're talking purely knowledge of deen.
No, knowledge of deen. Yeah, knowledge of deen is, that's the only knowledge of wahi that we have, right? So knowledge of deen is like, it's amazing how much our genius is invested into it. Our genius were all put in ilm. That's where the genius of Islam, like people look in architecture and some,
Subhanallah.
different things, but our actual genius, just fix your mic up, it's not pointing towards you. Yeah. So fix your mic up.
It's fixed.
No, it's not.
How's that?
Yeah, that's better. Our geniuses, they were in ilm. Like, if you see, like, we call it polymaths, like these guys he's like a child prodigy whose whole genius, and you look at it, it's in his work, intellectual work. Like, there's a book I was reading, it took the Imam 30 years to write it.
One book.
Like, it's a encyclopedia, Imam Muwatta's hadith, a commentary on that. But the depth of research is in 30 years' work. It's like a masterpiece, right?
Is that because they didn't have Google or internet?
No,
and
it's not
they
that.
had to go look for these books and find books?
No, it wasn't about that. They had all the books in libraries. Like, there's someone sent a picture of how they used to read books quicker. So it's like a Ferris wheel of books. This is in India. Like, there's a picture in library. I think it was I can't remember which of the alim was, but he's got like one book, and then there's another book. So it's like a Ferris wheel of 20 books, so they can go through it quickly. It's actually quicker to go through a book than to go through the online PDFs. I download lots of PDFs of books to use for research, but then finding it, you have to go to
I find it annoying to read on the internet as well. Even novels or books, whatever you read, there's a different enjoyment to having it in your hand.
The finding the book is quick online, but then reading through it, I find it frustratingly slow.
Yeah, and you can't make notes on the page.
You can now with iPads and stuff. You can't flick through the pages quickly enough.
Really?
Because you sort of have to move your mouse, and things like when you have a book in your hand, you can quickly flick through and see the contents. Your hands move much quicker than online, like scrolling through pages and trying to get to the right spot. But the good thing is, once you figure out where it is, then to screenshot it or insert it into a document or whatever, that's the part. So thing, but if you see like the imams, they'll have 10. It's a very cool. It's a wooden. I'll get a picture. Maybe we'll put it on our thumbnail. It's like a Ferris wheel of books, like 10 books. So they turn through it, so they quickly can check and research. But they were geniuses. Then their production. One is reading it, consuming all of that, then producing it.
And this is all handwritten text.
Correct. And the amazing thing is the consistency. Like, they're not writing. Like, we're not consistent from paragraph to paragraph. The guy's writing tafsir from beginning till end, 15 volumes, like, all right? He's writing or hadith commentary. It's consistent, systematic commentary. Every line is done properly, like the same method. Every hadith is commentated in the same way, same tartib, same system. So it's quite remarkable the way they're genius, and then they're hard work as well. Muslims were hard working.
MashaAllah.
So So it's cool. Like that's what I've been this week. I've been
quite interesting
nerding out on.
You are nerding.
I mean,
You're
I read a
nerd.
lot even before that. Even before these research topics were given to me, that before that is I was like used to read. I read.
Yes, I know, because you used to send me stuff all the time on WhatsApp.
Yeah, what I do is if I like something, I don't want to lose it. I WhatsApp it to Abdul Wajid. He doesn't read Arabic,
And then he
I
says,
said
"For me."
I just put it in as for me because it's the quickest. So I also have to send an email. WhatsApp is so much quicker. So then I just keep.
I just thought you used to send me this Arabic because you needed help with it and you wanted me to read it and explain it to you.
Yeah, I mean, you can make dua for me. That's the only help you can probably
But
give
the
me.
amazing thing that you said is because the prodigy or our genius of our ummah went into knowledge. Nowadays, it's if he's not studying at school or if he's not doing well at school or business or whatever, I'll make him a hafiz or make him an alim. It's shifted 180 degrees.
Yeah, I think,
Generally.
Yeah, I think what will happen is like the likes of Mufti Taqi Osmani, for example, who is a genius, who is a hard-working alim, but he was the son of the Mufti Pakistan, right? And they have generational ilm. So then he's like sort of protected within that environment and developed in that environment for 50 years, 40 years, whatever, or at least into his adulthood, then he's dedicated to khidmat of deen. But the reason why he's like that is because his father and people around him, he appointed people to make sure his tarbiyah is done and so forth. But our as soon as talent is recognized outside those type of families, immediately they push towards some dunya study.
That's right.
Worldly, and it's fine. But what's happening is then we have very few
Geniuses.
as ulama and who can actually come up with creative solutions for the ummah from ilm. And that's the thing, like it's actually hard to actually, I mean, alhamdulillah we have some amazing ulama, but it's something that has to be protected. Like as soon as that talent is identified, you want them to go into ilm further and excel and do really well, not just like
Become a brain surgeon.
yeah, because there's so much more to do ilm. Like you got ulama in like Pakistan, like Mufti Abu Lubaba, or in the Middle East as well. You have amongst the Arab ulama, there's certain ulama that Allah protected and have utilized, and they kept them. They're young, they're like maybe in their late 30s, 40s, but you can see, okay, this guy's brilliant and hardworking, and they're teaching people deen and so forth, and Allah's keeping him in that field. But there's a lot others who get pulled away as well. Like in Darum Dioban, they introduced a a course, like a medicine course or something in the madrasa or something like traditional medicine or something. So what happens? All the smart students started to go there.
Yeah.
So that keeping them focused, because in the deen, the career options may be limited.
Well, the understanding is if you're going to be in deen or follow deen, you're not going to be a millionaire. And everybody wants a
how many
car.
engineers are millionaires, really? Think of it.
Well, I know, but
how many doctors are millionaires?
Well, how many people are driving taxis right now within Melbourne that have got PhDs and masters?
Yeah, I don't know any, but there's
plenty.
Yeah,
right. But the point is,
there's like PhDs driving rickshaws in India. But anyway,
that's my point.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's the perception that's been built.
Yes.
So when you have this education of dunya, you have a higher chance of making it big.
Yeah.
So that thing of my risk is written. I've got to work. However,
but I think that's a failure on the ummah's part for not making sure that it shows where the ummah puts its value. Like if in the past they were putting all their brains for deen.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
And it's not just that they were experts in deen only, because they were so smart. Like they were astronomers, they were poets, they were mathematicians and so forth, because they're genius, because they needed all those sort of things. Whatever's been studied at the time, they used to grab and bring it closer.
And they could do more than one topic at a time.
Social, yeah, exactly. So, but what happens when you single-mindedly, you already throw them out into the specific dunya field, then to come back, because it takes a decade at least of development of teaching to develop an alim and a talented alim. By the time they go through that field, come back, it's too late. Like the cream of their life, like the best part of their life is already used up somewhere else. Now they try to attend, even if they're pious and they're good. And you got those people, the brothers who try to, he's a psychologist or doctor, now he tries to teach people deen and so forth. But it will never be the same as someone who actually was trained as an alim in the prime of his life. That's the difference. The initial training is extremely important. That's why some ulama objected to the people, and some ulama will start early, like 12. They'll start teaching students that are 12, 13, like that, So because those guys' talents have to be utilized very early on, and they have to put on a track because it's so.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's like if someone wants to do athletics or something like that.
If you see the original alim course in India and in the Ottoman Khilafah, I think it was something like the Dars Nizami, if you look at it, I think it was like 20, it took 25 years or something of education.
Wow.
Which makes sense. Because we go to school, we start in prep.
Yeah.
By the time we get to uni, we've done uni if you do masters, if you do a PhD, let's say. That's the general education stream.
It's about 25 years.
Exactly. So, but they had a 25 years dedicated to develop this person like as a complete, in every field, an expert, and like in Islamic fields. So like there's a long-term, there was a long-term.
So when they actually come out as proper sheikhs or proper muftis?
Well, you can't say they're alims 36, 10, 12 years. They're not proper sheikhs.
No, I don't mean like that.
You've got to be careful,
Sorry,
there's no one qualified in Australia. We don't have any, actually maybe in the Ummah we don't have any alims, but if we put that standard, but there was a certain standard that there was an expectation from people. So
Speaking of sheikhs and muftis, I'm going to throw you left field here.
Yeah.
So we have a mufti of Australia.
Yeah.
Why do we have another mufti of Australia?
We don't have another mufti in Australia.
Who votes them up?
Look,
how do they get into power? How come I didn't get a vote?
ANIC with other organisations have got a mufti.
Yeah.
Which I say is a mufti of Australia.
So the current, what we know as the mufti of Australia, which I had no say in. Most Muslims don't have a say in. This guy.
Do you need to have a say in?
Of course. If he's representing us as Muslims, shouldn't he be representative of the general? No, I don't.
Terrible comparison, but does do you have a decision? Do you have a say in the Imam of the Haram or Imam Masjid Nabawi?
Well, they didn't ask me. I tried to approach the king last time I was at Hajj, but I was too. He wanted to have a chat with me, but I was too busy. So, but the point is, what I mean by that is, okay, if you've got somebody standing there within Australia, okay. And he's coming forward and saying, I think I've said this before.
No, what happened the last few weeks, some murmurs are there that AFIC, which is the sort of the oldest peak body of Muslims in Australia.
Is that the current person that's there that we know as
No, that's ANIC. ANIC, so the current mufti is from ANIC, but AFIC always sort of, AFIC is sort of, they're vying for the peak thing. My view is, and they made their own Sharia board, they announced it in Canberra, in
really?
Parliament House or something. I don't know. They went there.
I remember that.
So what? Is a Parliament House a holy place to go? But I don't know. It's like next to the well of Zamzam.
Does that mean that if I go to Canberra, I need to do tawaf because I want to drive around, not walk around?
What they did was they went and they announced this Sharia board or whatever.
Yeah.
Look, as long as we're not tearing each other down, and we're working for the benefit of the Muslims. My view is that it's better. It doesn't really matter. I personally have no issue with it. As long as
why are you doing it at Parliament House then?
I think just to show that we're Australian and we're like it's PR. It's PR. That's
should have done it at Ayers Rock.
Yeah, climb on top of it.
No, do not. I went to Uluru and I made a point of not climbing on top of it.
Oh, okay, you follow the Sharia of the.
Of course, the Indigenous Australians.
Yeah, the Sharia.
Respect that. Yeah, damn straight.
Anyway, but look, at the end of the day, if who cares? If they're working, as long as the work is positive, they're not. These small petty attacks and so forth, and they're generally making a positive, each one's working and it's working within Sharia. They're not doing haram, number one. And number two is they're working for the benefit of the Muslims. Yeah, the more the merrier, Yeah,
but don't you think that confuses non-Muslims or even the government? Okay, who do we speak to?
I don't think the government's stupid. I think they know who's who. They figured us out maybe a lot better than we have. Who cares? Because we're not like the Catholic Church. They projected the Mufti of Australia on us initially. They projected that on to us because they think. Remember 20 years ago when that whole controversy was going on, the Mufti of Australia. So at that time, I remember the discussions were there because they think we're like the Catholic Church. We have a hierarchy, a pyramid, and there's a guy at the top. Then there's archbishops. There's a bishop in each country, and and then you got like priests under it. It's like
and then
a
you got the
pyramid.
deacons, and then
Shia have that. We don't have that.
Is that right?
Yeah, we don't have that. We don't have a pope. Muslims don't have a pope. We have like people, imams of the haram.
Do you want the job?
Imam of the haram and so forth.
Pope Khalid.
Like we have a mufti in Egypt or a mufti of Pakistan or mufti of India or mufti of, I'm not sure if India has a mufti, but we have senior ulama and we have more senior ulama. We have knowledgeable and more knowledgeable. We don't really have a pyramid scheme. The only time that we had like there were certain ulama that were connected to the state in a big way, that's early on in Islamic history. Like they were there as chief justices. Like
that was during the time of the Khalifa. So that was
there was always a chief justice. There was like a senior qadi
who appointed
who was close to the Khalifa. Obviously,
Okay.
this is not self-appointed. Board of Imams, ANIC, all of these things, organizations, they're all self-appointed. So it's not, and it's good. It's not bad. It's just they're working, inshallah for the interest of the Muslims. They get certain things right. They don't get
But
certain
it's
things
very
right.
decentralized.
In Islam, it's decentralized. In Shiaism, they have like a very particular thing, which is sort of alien to Islam. We don't have that type of hierarchical things. We don't have that in Islam. So, yeah, it is decentralized. The non-Muslims have to understand that. Like, why are we playing? And so, what if they get confused? I mean, they're confused about whether Allah is real or not. Who cares if they're confused about us? Who's our head or not? They don't know their own creator. So why are we so worried?
No, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. For me, it just comes back down to that whole point of representation.
And I think if we have more voices, organizations, when there's an issue and
That I agree with.
they can make more noise and create, like when it affects the interests of the Muslims. So it's not a big deal. Like it's not. I don't think it's. I personally don't think it's a big deal. Issue is that people who break away. This is the problem. Heart of the matter. I was speaking to one of the teachers in the madrasa today, and he was saying the issue is when you break away. This is the only issue, and this is why I say about as long as they don't tear each other. Usually, when people break away, it's because of their nafs, their lower self, their baser self.
What do you mean?
Like for the ego. A lot of when people break.
Do you think?
When people
Or do you
split,
think they see something and say, I can do a better job? Oh, okay, nafs.
nafs has a way of coming into, and that's the problem. Like even big people, pious people, they can have ego, nafs, but there's no one to actually. I was speaking to a couple of ulama today, and says even big people can have a big nafs, but there's no one actually to say anything. And Mashaykh have written about this. Sometimes it's not so obvious that it's nafs. So the only criteria that we have, this is why I said at the start, like the only criteria that we have is the Sharia, right? This is the only criteria we can go by to judge anything by, if it's right or wrong. As long as they work for the betterment of the Muslims, as long as they don't tear each other down, which will be against the interests of the Muslims, so what, But there's a lot of egos involved. And you got the little guys. I don't know, Urdu we call them chamcha. I don't know what you call them in other languages. But that so aptly catches the middle management, the hang-oners and so forth. Those guys, they cause a lot of trouble everywhere. So as long as people are working and they're not.
So how do we know what's nafs and what's not?
We don't. I don't know. If I have
for myself, I'm trying to do something.
You don't know.
Then how? So
you have to. That's why
I could be screwed.
That's why in Islam exactly. That's why in Islam we're advised to go and sit in the company. Kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Go sit with the truthful ones, the people who are true to Allah in all their speeches, action, and states. The Ahlullah, the righteous. Find them and be in their company. Suhbat Ahlullah is a big thing in our deen. Sitting in the company of the righteous, the pious, the people who are like they say in the past. They used to call him Sheikh Kamil, the complete Sheikh. Like he's traversed.
How do you find these guys? We're lucky we've got Irfan here, so we can sit in his company every Wednesday night.
MashaAllah.
However,
mashallah. Yeah, he's a big chef because he tolerates all our nonsense, and especially me, he tolerates. But it's the thing is that you have to look for. You have to seek a guide. You have to seek a person who can teach you and guide you, and he can tell you a spiritual. Like he's traversed all those stages, and he knows all the tricks of shaitan. What he's going to do. Like he's been through it. Yeah,
that's impossible in Australia.
No, you shouldn't say that.
Right.
We don't know.
Well, it's very difficult.
You don't know.
Well, I do.
You don't know because you don't know everybody in Australia, and you don't know the personal condition of every Muslim.
But that's my point. So how does every Muslim find someone like that?
You look for them. there's a criteria ulama have given.
Where do you look for them?
Online, no, but
Online.
you
I'm 36 years old and I'm looking.
I'm looking for a sheikh.
I'm looking for a sheikh.
Yeah. No, the criteria is there. Someone who knows about the science of tazkiyah, knows the science of islah, rectification, and he's been he's alim of Sharia, or at least he's in the company of the ulama of Sharia. So he will never go outside the framework of Sharia. And then he does tarbiyah and he focuses on spiritual sicknesses. That's something that we don't even talk about. Like most Muslims don't even talk about it. At least if we talk about it, we'll we'll have an understanding.
Mate, I don't think we even know about it.
Like if you talk about showing off, if you keep talking about it, then at least you know there's something I have to avoid. These are pitfalls. If you talk about arrogance, or that is to think you're better than other people, right? So if you keep constantly hearing about takabbur or arrogance, or you hear about ujub, self-conceit, to think you're good in yourself, mashallah, I'm such a good Muslim. These sicknesses have to be, because they're mentioned in the Quran, they have to be talked again and again and again until they're on our radar, that we recognize them in ourselves constantly. So you can't, because even you can become very knowledgeable and very pious and do a lot of things, but those sicknesses are very hard to, like, you can't self-diagnose.
These are the rule, very deep conversation.
You can't self-diagnose. That's the rule. Like you always have to go to a doctor. Even doctors will not self-diagnose. It's a well-known fact that doctors will not diagnose themselves. No, they have to go to another doctor. It's a rule, like it's a sort of like an unwritten rule, maybe in medicine. You never diagnose yourself. You go to a doctor, especially another doctor who's outside of you. Like he will look at the situation more objectively. Yeah,
that's very interesting. I didn't know about that. So now, okay, I'll let you have that one. I'll let you have that one.
I don't know. We're arguing.
The more the merrier.
I don't know. We're having a debate.
No, we're not having a debate. I'm just curious about. Look, there's this whole topic that we've just discussed. There's a lot to unpack there. First talking about tazkiyah and all these things, and talking about different muftis and where do you find someone and how to look. But I suppose conversations like this put things on people's radar.
It's not for the Masjid Carpark, that type of discussion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's quite heavy. Yeah. Maybe that's something you can do on your channel, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
explain it in more detail.
Yeah, inshallah.
Something to look at with all that.
Inshallah.
If you can pull yourself away from your nerdy pastimes of researching.
Yeah.
Oh God! What about Ramadan around the corner, mate?
Yeah,
I can't believe that we're in Ramadan.
Yeah, we're not. It's 1 week left.
But even a week left, it's tripping me out.
Yeah,
it's like last year in the middle of Ramadan. Last year's Ramadan was the best.
4 months. Yeah, for you, because you're with family. I was in the mosque by myself giving lockdown durus.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In an empty mosque in Ramadan, it was very depressing. It was extremely.
See, I just loved it because I was at home.
There as well, because he used to do the camp. Come in and did you just turn it on, or then left and go home and have iftar? He used to leave me by myself.
Oh no!
He used to set up everything.
So who'd you have iftar with?
The muazzin, his father-in-law.
And he would go. Irfan, I'm shocked.
I think there's 2 of us. Huh?
Yeah, see, for me, last Ramadan was amazing.
Yeah, no, everybody. Yeah, I mean, Tarawih at home. I mean, it's good. I did Tarawih the whole month with the kids, and that was good. That was a good thing. But I wouldn't. It was a mixed bag.
Oh, look, I'm not asking for a lockdown again.
Yeah. Well, mashallah, the good things this year, people are traveling to New Zealand. There's a bubble today.
Yes, I open 19th of April, I think.
Yeah.
That's when New Zealand opens. So
mashallah. So it's going to be good.
Be a lot of flights.
I think we're going to, because we missed last year for Ramadan. I think people are just going to get to New Zealand because they can go overseas, even though it's not.
New Zealand's going to love it with influx of tourists from Australia.
Oh yeah, even New Zealand.
Queenstown. 41% of Queenstown's tourist income is from Australians.
Oh, nice. That's good.
So that's great.
Is that in South Island?
Yeah, South Island.
Okay, that's for skiing and stuff.
Playground of the billionaires.
Right.
Like you got billionaires from all over the world buying houses.
Lord of the Rings stuff. Yeah.
Mate, there's guys buying houses all over Queenstown, and they're worth millions of dollars.
There's all these American.
Yeah, that's right.
There's like Hollywood. They've bought houses, or they come to Sydney.
It's becoming billionaires' paradise, because the whole thing is when zombiness happens, or if we have a zombie apocalypse or a pandemic, maybe we'll have a pandemic.
Yeah,
all right,
another one.
All right, they're preparing for and just turn up in their private jets and just chill.
It is like Switzerlandish.
Queenstown. I've never been. I've seen the photos.
New Zealand, South Island. That's skiing and all that. Yeah,
New Zealand's amazing.
Yeah.
I find apart from Auckland is just like Melbourne.
Yeah.
Right? But not really. Right, it's a crappier version of Melbourne. Sorry about that, Auckland.
know.
Right, but Wellington,
Just so
phenomenal.
his wife's from New Zealand, so from Wellington.
Wellington's so much better. Wellington rocks.
Wellington's a little bit
love
like,
that
I don't know what
city.
to compare it to. Melbourne a little bit,
Wellington is just a smaller version of Melbourne, but the vibe is like Melbourne.
but the weather's like
It's freezing cold.
it's so miserable.
in winter.
I thought
but
Melbourne
in
was
summer,
bad.
No, man, put a wetsuit on, jump in the beach 5 minutes from the city centre. You're going boogie boarding on big waves.
Yeah, it's small. It is small. Like it's got a city vibe, but it's like small.
Yeah,
it's not so big.
but it's beautiful, and you drive out 10 minutes and you're in the bush.
I remember. Yeah, I went there a few times.
I love it.
It is
I
nice.
love it. There's some amazing walks as well. South Island,
So-
I've been to Christchurch.
So Ramadan, the only place we can go. There's no going to the Haramain. There's no people usually go in Ramadan to the Haramain. Inshallah, soon we'll go. But
yeah, but with this announcement of the Mufti in Canberra, can we go to Canberra?
for what?
Parliament House?
You can't. Allah's made special places. I have to
Canberra doesn't
clarify that
count?
people don't take it. He's joking. Please don't take this the wrong way.
These Muslims are taking over Canberra. Why do they keep going
What is
around
it- what is in
why do they
Canberra?
keep going around the Parliament House in circles?
Astaghfirullah. Yeah. But Ramadan is there and we're preparing for it. Our masjid with COVID sort of guidelines.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah.
Well, the thing is now, what was it? If you can't keep 1.5 meter distance, put a mask on.
Yeah. That's
So
what
does
they
that
said.
mean you can put a mask on and then pray side by side, toe to toe?
I don't.
As they
think
say,
so.
not
I
that
think
I'm
you're
saying you
supposed
should
to still
do
be
toe-to-toe.
spaced out. 2 square meters rule. Yeah.
So that's still there.
Yeah, that'll be there. So we have to space it out. But we got 3 halls in our masjid. So
Bro, I'm looking forward to the day you can go to the masjid, and even though
there are
it's
some masjids
Ramadan,
you can go pray normally.
right now, even though it's Ramadan, the guy's doing like biryani burps or whatever you want to call them, but you're standing right next to him and you're praying.
Yeah, no, look, back to what we were saying earlier regarding the purification of the heart. Just in terms of just one fadil, I know this is not a dars, but I always say this. Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, said this, that quoting him, that one Ramadan is enough to make you a friend of Allah. Because Allah says in the Quran, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that by fasting, hopefully you become muttaqi, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry about that. It's from here. Apologies.
Struggling.
Yeah.
Apology accepted.
That Allah says we've prescribed fasting for you like it was prescribed for the nations before you, that hopefully you'll become a muttaqi. So the ulama, as Imam Ghazali said, that one Ramadan, if it's spent properly, beginning till end, then it is sufficient to make you muttaqi and a wali of Allah, friend of Allah. One Ramadan.
One Ramadan.
One
30
Ramadan.
days.
You can enter one end of Ramadan as a sinful person deserving Jahannam. And you can leave
Come
the
on,
other
bro.
end of Ramadan as a friend of Allah.
How do you
That's
do that?
what Ramadan is.
What, just by fasting?
By fasting and fasting of the eyes, fasting of the ears, using the time properly, not wasting it, turning to Allah, really using it properly.
You need to clarify a bit more on this.
No, we're not going to do that now.
No, it's not a dars. This is amazing.
Yeah, that's the one Ramadan is enough because that's what Allah promises.
No, but isn't this it's a whole life thing? You keep working and
That's not what that's not the ayat says. The ayat says is we prescribe fasting for you, and it's referring to Ramadan, and you know.
So even someone
So
like me can enter Ramadan and come out the other end with a little bit of hope.
You might already be entering as a wali of Allah, and then by overeating, and you might be going.
You go the opposite way.
Might be going.
Well,
you might be going backwards.
Let me tell you now, I am not entering Ramadan as a wali of Allah. My children, my family, everybody's a witness to that. I'm hoping to
Let's
go
not
the other
talk
way.
about our piety in public. He's such a humble guy. Such a humble.
That's me.
Astaghfirullah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. MashaAllah. No. Inshallah, we'll.
That's
inshallah,
amazing.
Allah give us good Ramadan. inshallah.
I mean, that's phenomenal. I'm sorry, but I'm still stuck on that. Just that one.
It's a recharge. It's a recharge as well for
The
us.
recharge, I get all of that. I get, but what you're saying is wali. My understanding is to be a wali, it takes your whole life.
Who said that?
I don't know. That's just what overnight you're going to become a wali of Allah.
That's Allah's decision who He makes a wali and who He makes His friend. Like if Allah befriends.
So wali is friend, yes.
Yeah, it's like friend or someone close to Allah.
Yeah.
That's Allah makes the people close to Him. He decides who's close to Him. Could be one single instance. Isn't the lady who fed the dog, gave water to the Zania prostitute, she gave water to dog, or in other narrations a man, and deserved Jannah because of just one single act?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she was a friend of Allah. I mean, she was a friend of Allah
She
because
got
she went to
Jannah.
Jannah.
No, everybody enters Jannah as a friend of Allah at some capacity. You know.
Okay, we're going into some really deep topics
So,
today. That's
yeah.
another one to
So
leave.
speaking of
does.
recharging, you know, so there's going to be electric car tax. Good segue, huh?
Oh, that was a dad joke.
Sorry.
That was like a dad joke in the middle of the podcast.
So they're going to tax the drivers or the kilometers
Yes,
on the car.
the kilometers on the car.
Yeah. So we had a bit of a discussion last week about whether it's a good thing or bad thing. I think they should pay for their, you know. I've yet to see. Oh no, I haven't. I've seen on the road Teslas, but one of my students owns a Tesla. You know, I asked him.
He's doing all right.
Yeah, and I think what's happening is like fleet cars. These companies have fleet cars. They are purchasing Teslas, and they, you know, obviously the only thing that matters is the money for the accountants.
Yeah.
So they've seen, okay, we can actually save a significant because the tax is less. So then they're buying them, and hence they are trying to save money, like in things. So they're not paying their fair share.
No, but isn't it when you register the car, that's what's going towards the roads?
Yeah, but also petrol is taxed.
Yeah, just after, actually, good point, researching this, it's crazy to think how much tax is on petrol.
Exactly. So because of that, there should be a fairer share of the, because that's also going
but these
tax.
guys are charging the car, so they're paying for the electricity anyway.
Yeah, but they're not taxed so much because they're using not a staple, what do you call it? Like amenity, you know? And amenities are not charged. There's regulation around how much. But now that you put...
See, this is where I disagree with it because, okay, I understand for the roads they need to be taxed and all of that, but we're encouraging people due to the environment.
Oh, the whole Mother Earth thing. Yeah. All that greeny stuff.
Not Mother Earth, but
that religion.
But no, but we do have... okay, you know what? I do not want to start climate change and all that with you right now.
Yeah.
Just the whole Mother Earth told me everything.
The guy.
So we're not going there.
Astaghfirullah.
Right?
Yeah.
However...
No, they want to encourage it. They probably just have it a little bit less. So, but you also have to they have to pay their fair share.
You've got to go with, no, but
and if you're driving a Tesla...
They're looking at 2.5 cents.
If you can afford a Tesla,
kilometre.
you're doing all right.
No, they're looking
You're
at
doing
2.5 cents per kilometre.
Yeah, and it's probably...
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money over a year if you drive a lot.
Yeah.
So for me, if I was going to buy a Tesla, I'd be like, nah, stuff it. What's
No,
the point?
no, I don't think so. You'll do the maths and calculate it. You
I actually won't.
How much more expensive will it work out? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Exactly. So it might work
But
still.
most people don't have any idea. They'll just go, oh shit, excuse me, but I'm going to pay tax for this stuff. I'm going to do this instead.
Yeah.
I'll just go get a normal car or I'll get a hybrid.
No, but it might still work out cheaper.
To what? Get a Tesla?
Yes.
But who's going to do the maths? Who's got time to do the maths?
The guy who's a doctor and he's got an accountant. He'll tell his accountant to figure it out. I bet you there's probably websites now and there's probably YouTube videos explaining how much it's going to actually cost you per year. Let's say if you do an average of $20,000, 20,000 kilometers a year, what does
That's
this mean?
2.5 cents.
Yeah.
You do the maths, you're the nerd.
20,000?
2.5 cents.
So it'd be like $50,000 tax for 20,000 kilometers.
There you go. No,
So
that's
if-
not right.
Huh?
That's not right.
Yeah, but how much petrol do you use per year?
20,000 times 2.5.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, cents. Yeah.
0.025. Sorry.
Astaghfirullah. That's crazy. Yeah.
$50,000.
5,000. 5,000.
So your registration will be $5,800 or whatever it is, $6,000 a year.
Yeah, 5,000 extra. But how much you pay for petrol per year?
At 20,000 Ks, I don't know. It depends on your car.
Let's say just average Australian car, like per week, you pay about $50 to $100. That's an average.
Welcome to choice.com.
Yeah, $50. Let's say $50 a week or $100 a week. Huh? Depending on where you live, how much driving you do.
About 80 to 100.
All right, let's go for the higher end, $100.
Yep.
So $100 per week.
$5,200.
$5,200 you're paying for petrol.
Okay. However, you're not paying the electricity now. Now you got to pay electricity on top of that $5,000, $6,000 you're paying.
Yeah, so how much are they paying for electricity? That's another.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. There probably is some calculation, and as the kilometers go up, yeah, it will be relative. It would go up as well. So I'm curious how much actually, and then a 1 weekly charge, how much it's going to cost per car?
Oh.
Or a daily charge. Sorry, it's not a weekly charge. It's probably a daily charge. Depends on how far you live. That's another thing. I asked my student who drives a Tesla. I said, how much will recover the cost of the whole car because you're driving a Tesla over not driving another car? He said 4 or 5 years.
And by then he'll want a new car anyway.
Listen, 5 years, he's saving that much. He bought like $100,000 car, right? In 5 years, he's recovering enough to make it worth, like it's paying for itself. So they are saving a lot of money. That's who the government identified. These guys are actually saving more money.
Yeah, but in that 5 years.
Therefore, we need to make sure they pay for it.
That's if he keeps the car for another 10 years.
And it's only a very few people, and it's very rich people. They're not. I mean, when I say rich, they're not the bottom. They're not poor people, right? They're not.
And they're not lower middle class. However, prices are going down.
Of Teslas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you got prices of Teslas going down, then you want to open those, you want to remove those barriers to entry.
Why?
Barriers to entry for every Joe.
But you want to make them pay as well, like everybody else. You want to be fair. You want to fair. You want the tax to be reflective of the what the other cars are paying.
So decrease petrol tax instead of increasing.
How are you going to run the country, man? We're already like going to
we're in a massive debt.
Huh? Yeah, and we're going. So we need more tax actually.
So tax the wealthy. Okay, let's not get into a tax debate.
Yeah,
we've gone from Mother Earth, Gaia to tax to Teslas. Interesting.
I don't even know what Gaia is. So we make istighfar and tawbah. We don't even. It's some belief in the world is a mother and so forth, which is not our belief.
I think it's along
the greenies, the hippies adopted this, and they've been forcing down our throat through all these green policies and stuff.
Oh God! Yeah. What do I say?
Nothing.
Next week's topic will be climate change. Is it real? All right. Okay. Interesting with the Teslas. Any Daniel Haqiqatju. He spoke about
Yasir Qadhi.
He
brought it down.
I need to understand this guy Yasir Qadhi because I still haven't got him.
So basically, hardcore Salafi, Medina graduate who sort of lost his way on certain issues. I wouldn't say lost. He's still an alim and respect him as an alim and so forth, but way too much into the Western sort of university. I think he went to Yale or Georgetown, one of those universities, and just sort of the beard got shorter, the views became weird.
But now aren't you judging him by saying that?
Now listen, the beard became shorter, the views became weird, and every year he'll chuck something out there which, sort of stirs up things, and the vast majority of ulama have rejected, not vast majority, nearly all real ulama have rejected what these views. Like, he's the one that came with the zombies, Ya'juj Ma'juj zombies. And
what?
Yeah,
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, like weird stuff, man. That's when you've been on Netflix too much, like you're coming up with weird stuff. Now he's gone down this thing of like.
So Ya'juj Ma'juj zombies, is that what you're telling me?
See, the thing is, like, Australians don't really matter much in the world, in the Muslim world, but US does. So like people like Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, Yasir Qadhi, these people they're not just influential in the United States, which affects the Anglosphere and the Western countries, but they also affect Muslim countries who are very in the orbit of United States. So because he's there and he's, to a certain degree, he's up there, like in terms of popularity, and he's done certain good things. Like he did a translation of Sunnah Abi Dawood, he done some books, he's done like series on Seerah, which many people benefit from, but we're human beings. After Anbiya alayhim salam, we're not ma'soom. Anybody can make a mistake, and we don't call people's mistakes. So now he's gone down this road of hudud. I think he was talking to non-Muslims or ex-Muslims or whatever, who basically are trying to attack, pushing that the Muslims should denounce hudud laws. Laws like the murtad laws. The murtad should be killed. And there's nothing we can do about that. That's the law of Allah. There's nothing we can do about that. The laws of apostates.
Yeah, but according to the way he was talking, it was like what I got from that was that he is saying it's outdated. We haven't
understood. Say that.
Yeah, but
no, he can't say that.
What are you talking about?
That's the problem. How can he say that? How can he say the law that our Creator sent?
That is my point.
Yeah.
That it should be changed because we're in 2021.
Yeah, and
it doesn't make sense, and everyone around us doesn't make sense.
Ramadan said, I think we should put a moratorium. We should put a hold on the hudud laws. No, that's not your call to make. You're not a nabi.
So if somebody says that, so you can't. But if somebody has come out with that, then you can't really rely on anything he says. So you're telling me he did his seerah thing. How do you know everything in there's? Nothing has been snuck into there.
I saw a book publisher who sells his translation of Sunan Abi Dawood, a collection of hadith Imam Abu Dawood. They put I saw the name. It looks a little bit different spelling to the way he spells his name currently. So I was looking at it, and then they said, we are not in support of his current views, but the book translation is correct above. Like the way. So they sort of like, we're not in agreement with his changes. And so every few years he does like backflips and so forth. So the consistency is not there. The problem is there's a couple of things. One is being a popular alim.
Like yourself.
Popular alim.
I know, you're not popular. It's okay.
A popular alim, like pop alim.
Yeah.
And
right. Yeah.
And the other one is you are a intellectual giant, right? These are very separate things.
But is he an intellectual giant? I don't think.
No. He's an intellectual of sorts, right? He's an intellectual, but he's not an intellectual giant. Okay. And this is the problem. Like, look, the popular alim is good, but his main thing is to remind people, to encourage them to what is the well-trodden path. His job is not through social media, throw everything up into the air and cause confusion. And that's what's happening, because the social media is very powerful now, and it's something that you have access to the whole ummah in a certain way. Not the whole ummah, but like a certain language, let's say English-speaking world, with him, for example. So, and he's trying to make inroads into the subcontinent, which is like the biggest group of Muslims in the world. Like, he's trying to Urdu.
Is he?
Yeah, Urdu program. He did a month or two. The problem, and of course, if you're in the subcontinent, Desi, as we are Desis, Pakistani, Indian, they love America, Australia, like that's like an achievement if you have an Australian passport. So they respect an alim, like, he's an alim from America, and that makes a big difference apparently, But the reality is the big ulama in their countries, and they don't respect them enough because they can't relate to them because they're not westernized or going through a Western education. So do you understand the difference? Like, if you have an intellectual giant who's also a populist or popular, that's fine. But rarely you get those guys on the platforms. You get the speakers and talkers.
Yeah, that's right, because they're too busy becoming intellectual giants and being intellectual giants and writing books or whatever.
Exactly, and they are teaching and training ulama. Like one of my teachers from Kuwait, so his teacher, Sheikh Adnan Naham, is in Hanbali fiqh. He's no audio recording online, no video recording. And he will not. He's invited by radio and things like that. He teaches guys that are professors of Sharia. They're his students still. Right? He studies, like, what I'm trying to say is, you see that those are the guys that will tell you what's in and out. The problem is, again, coming back to the nafs and ego and so forth, and that's all of us suffer from this, that comes into play on social media. And that's a very hard thing to,
Well, we're on social media right now.
Yeah.
So nafs is coming into play.
100%. I mean, it's there. We have nafs cannot be killed. We have nafs. The thing is that you have to control it. How do you control it? And sometimes these guys, like, because they're intelligent, but then they're going against. If you make a statement against hudud, like as he did, or a statement that is a dubious statement, which is not really what Muslims, how they talked about hudud. It's a given, like, it's accepted, it's musallam. There's no debate on it. Like, there's a little bit maybe on how punishment is applied, or if there's two punishments together or something, there's like some ikhtilaf, which is a well-known ikhtilaf throughout history. But to totally disregard it as though this is like we're living in a new age and therefore this is not even to be talked about, or this is wrong, that is too much. And that means that person, he has made an error. He's gone against his teachers. Something has gone wrong there. And that's what people that are, like Daniel Haqiqatjou, when he made the video, Daniel Haqiqatjou is not a traditionally trained alim. He's a very knowledgeable brother. He's got a certain way of going after.
He's intellectual.
People.
He's very intellectual.
Very smart and articulate and so forth. But you got to, and he's right, what he's saying is right. But you need the ulama at that caliber to also step up and say something.
So why aren't they saying it?
Because he's a popular figure. That's the problem. You don't want to upset.
So
you can say that.
You're telling me certain sheikhs or ulama who could step up for this and not stepping up for the reason that he's a popular figure.
Correct.
That doesn't make sense.
Correct. Not just on that, on many issues.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
Not everyone will speak up. People have jobs. he said, Daniel just said, someone liked one of his videos on Facebook. You know, when if you like something on comment, it'll show up on your feed. His mosque, I think maybe he lost his job, was calling for a meeting.
Daniel Haqiqat's mosque.
No. The imam that liked or commented on his video, he was called for a meeting by the committee of the masjid. He talked against feminism or something like that. You see? So you got these dynamics. Maybe it's more of a US thing. I'm not sure how much is in Australia. Such a thing actually exists.
But isn't it the job of an alim, if someone's an alim, the job of an alim to say, no, you stuffed up, you're wrong?
Explicitly by the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's actually one of the duties of the ulama. Because what else is there to stop the ummah from sliding and going astray?
Yeah, but do you think the ulama don't speak up, certain ulama, or for certain things? Don't speak up because they just don't want to cause fitna?
I think we got fatigue since September 11, and we've been hammered, especially in the US. Muslims have been hammered, in the UK, maybe less so here in Australia, but the big ones in the UK and US, they've been hammered by the authorities because whether it be ISIS, whether it's September 11, so many, they have all these programs and countering extreme violence programs and all that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of history there. So maybe there's fatigue, and a lot of Muslims, ulama, imams worked with the government, and people, they're trying to protect the community and so forth. And other ulama have gone the reverse and said, nah, stuff the government. They have no right to interfere in our community. Just because a few people went and did something, there's got nothing to do. September 11's got nothing to do with Muslims in Australia or the UK.
But what's that got to do with speaking up?
Yeah, but I'm saying this is the backdrop. Now when somebody steps up and he talks about something which is controversial, I think there's a general fatigue of trying to deal with people and oppose people, because we're supposed to be united in rank and so forth. Because part of his work is he was speaking to non-Muslims. He's an intellectual, quote unquote, representative of Muslims among the non-Muslims. Like he's got a platform.
So where did it all go wrong?
Maybe all that went to some. I don't want to judge him personally, but
no, not him. Just in general.
Sometimes the idea that you can't. That's the one thing I liked about Mufti Tariq Masood, the one who came from Pakistan. Like got 1 million. His personal channel of 500,000, 2 million. Like his videos are like that popular, and mainly in Pakistan and India, and very popular in India with the Muslims of India. He was just saying, I was listening to something about one of his courses, and he said that more people in India are studying his tafsir course than they are in Pakistan, where he's from, because they both speak Urdu. So but he said, mashallah, like when we were with him, if you remember, and I was with him in Sydney, and a call came from Pakistan. I think one of his elders or teachers, but the way they talked to him, like it was a very direct order: stop wasting time, come back now. This lockdown, because we were just before the
that's right. It was just before
a few weeks before Ramadan.
Because he left, and then the next week we went into lockdown.
Correct, and they said stop this. Stop wandering around here. Like the way that I was like, whoa, whoever that is, that's on top of him, and he's like in his mid 40s, late 40s now. So that amazed me. Oh, okay, you can have, despite his popularity, he's a traditional alim under traditional teachers, and he will stay there.
And but the biggest thing about that was he actually respects them still. He hasn't shot out on his own going,
no. He's like, nobody knows his teachers, but he's still under his teachers and follows the guidelines of his sheikhs, mashayikh. He's got that sheikh on top of him.
That respect level as well. And
that tarbiyah is given, a training is given. And that's a difference between coming through, even in Islamic university and it's good, mashallah, if whatever you study in deen, wherever you study. But there's a traditional way of tarbiyah. And it doesn't stop when you graduate, and you're now out there, and you're a mujtahid, then you can do what you want, and you can give whatever opinion. And the universities create that, because universities teach, madrasas, traditional institute teach you how to walk the well-trodden path, and within that to find solution for new situations. Hence, him being trained as a mufti in a traditional Darul Ifta, where there is an elder senior guiding the process. And so forth. So he has to work within a framework and structure, despite being extremely more effective than Yasir Qadhi in terms of the impact on the ummah. He still follows that. And because of that, he's more beneficial in my view, because he brings our attention.
100%, he's not a lone ranger.
Yeah, and saying crazy things. Actually, he is the opposite. No, we should respect, like he'll say respect Zakir Naik because all the work that he's done. He has a positive message. And when modernists come and secularists come and Qadianis come and all those groups that come that attack Islam, then he goes on the front foot and
He goes
deals with
hard.
them. Yeah, he goes, mashallah. So
Yeah,
you see, that's how it's supposed to be. I think that's, if you put in comparison, and he's got written fatwas. He works in the Darul Ifta, not so much as a thing, but he's a graduate and he's written fatwa. He asked me, like I was talking to him at one point, but we lost touch over the last few months, but that he wanted translations in English of his fatwas, written fatwas, like because English is not his first language. So the thing is that it's like he's involved in the intellectual, he's connected to the intellectuals, the giants, like his teacher. There's big muftis that are there. He's still connected to them, and he's under the mashwar of those elders and so forth. So there is and he's doing this work, and like on the social media and things, is like he's got you saw close up how he works.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
So you can be an amazing speaker and social commentator and benefit the community, and at the same time be an alim without compromising on tradition. But when you come out of universities, I saw this in Egypt as well, and it's not a reflection of all Egyptian ulama, na'uzubillah, or something like that. There's so much variety there. But I saw those type of guys, like in Egypt, who come out of Azhar. Yeah. The guy's at 21, he's done a bachelor's in Sharia or some 22, and he says, like, do you still feel, he asked me this question, I was shocked, I was in my 30s, he said, do you still have a need to be under your teachers?
At 21?
Yeah. He's already a mujtahid and doing his own thing.
At 21.
Because universities create that. You got to innovate.
The university is the Western
the model, and you have to come up with something new. And
so even these Islamic universities,
they have that.
The same model.
Some of them have adopted that type of. Well, some people we didn't have that type of attitude.
I still remember my very first lecture, very first year, very first day at university. It was economics. The lecturer stands up, and we're sitting there, and he goes, "Listen, basically, I'm here as your teacher, as your professor. However, question everything I teach you. Don't just take what I say to be the truth." And I'm just like, what are we paying you for? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to do? And that was his principle.
Mm. All right.
Which, if you do that for deen, what happens?
It depends. Some ulama are like that. They like the discussions. They like you question their stance. And then they have to prove it. Like they have to prove it from, because everything we do is not an opinion. Everything that we do in deen is based on sharia. It's derived from Quran Sunnah. He's got to prove it. You don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to be rude. But ilmi munaqasha discussions, the good ones, ulama, they love new ideas. They love discussion. But then they'll show you how the one that's done already, like for the last 1,000 years, 1,200 years we've been doing this, how this is more correct than what you say. Yeah, you're saying this, but I'm showing you how this is more correct. Based on this, not based on because I've been teaching this or I've been.
Yeah, but as a teacher, if you had a student there that was questioning everything that you said, what would you do?
Well, if he's being a smartass or disrespectful, that's a different thing.
No, but not being a smartass or disrespectful. You got a class going on and you're like, and he just says, "Okay, how do you know this?"
If it's genuine for inquiry, for learning, then there is something that comes from the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he's a seeker of knowledge and Allah's help and the barakah will come there.
Okay.
Yeah, then you're dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it's to criticize,
to be annoying or be a smart ass,
then that removes the help of Allah. That's disrespect, and you're disrespecting the tool of knowledge and the person who's teaching you, and so forth. So it's also
so again linking back to the spiritual thing.
Yeah, like I was just to finish off, we'll wrap up inshallah. Imam Taftazani rahmatullah alayhi was reading a book on Arabic grammar, morphology, verb morphology. He rahmatullah. He was like, because I was the most least intelligent person in my madrasa, and he studied hard, but I couldn't understand. And I had a dream. Somebody came to me in the dream, and he said, "Someone's calling you from the orchard." Once, twice came. I said, "No, I'm studying. I got to study in the dream because I got to study. I can't actually learn." So then he said, third time, he said, "Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is calling you." It's a dream. It's not a. It's a dream of Imam Taftazani, and it's narrated in the books. And Imam Taftazani, rahimullah, he went quickly. He said in the dream, he went quickly, and Rasulullah said, "I called you, didn't come." He said, "No, I didn't know it was you. I thought it was somebody else, and I had to study." So Rasulullah told him in the dream, many more or less, as far as I remember, open your mouth, and he sort of dry spat or blew in his mouth. He said when he woke up, he went to madrasa, and he sat in the class. The teacher asked a question. I was like the least intelligent in the class. And he asked a question, but he's Imam Taftazani. So he said that he's asked a question. I answered it. The way I answered, the teacher got up from his seat and he told me to come sit and to teach the class.
This
And
is
then
a true story?
Yeah, and then Imam Taftazani name became like from Azhar to Sham to Khurasan. He was the Imam of the era of his generation. That's 700 years ago.
But is that what actually happened, or is this like one of those?
They said he died of grief, just on the side thing. Tamerlane, Temur Lang, the ruler, he used to come in his court. Sayyid Sharif used to come. They both used to have debates in his court in front of him. Temur Lang said, "Yeah, your arguments are stronger to Taftazani, but he's a Sayyid. He's from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he used to take his side."
For everything?
Yeah, because I respect of Rasulullah, Allah for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he
Akbar.
said that Imam Taftazani died of grief. But anyway, Allah Alam, I don't know if that's...
But I just want to clarify that story where the teacher said, "You come and teach now."
Yeah.
That's not one of those tall tales.
No, because no. This is
It's not one of
This is in the
those,
books. It's in the books. It's mentioned. It's quoted by Imam Taftazani himself. The point being, there is a aspect of this aspect, the spiritual aspect of studying, because it's an ibadah, right? It's not an academic exercise only.
Okay.
It's an act of ibadah, worship. Seeking knowledge is rewarded by Allah, so it's a worship. It's actually the best worship.
Allahu Akbar.
It's the best worship from the nafil worship. It's the best worship to be said, and it's farad kifayah. Like as long as somebody has to do it in the community, and Allah chooses those people. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the highest status. The ulama, they're the heirs of the prophets. Nobody else is an heir of the prophet except for the ulama. So now such a huge thing is given for that, because we need them, and we need what they have. And therefore, those who invest into their time and energy and so forth, we have to appreciate, even if they go to universities or non-so-traditional study, ilm is ilm, wherever they study. But there is something to be said about traditional forms of study and tarbiyah.
I agree with that.
A lot of it is lost in the university style of teaching. That's a given. Everybody knows that. Those who go to traditional halaqat and study, even though people study universities, the good ones, what they'll do is they'll go study with shuyukh privately in the masjids. And they'll get that traditional tarbiyah or education. And you find sometimes the bigger ulama, they're not teaching universities. Like Shaykh Adnan Naham doesn't teach in university, never taught in university. He teaches in the masjid, like in a halaqah. So, and then you develop that rapport, that tarbiyah relationship over long term, and they do your islah and tarbiyah and they point out things to you. That creates a different type of, we say in Urdu, rang, color. It dyes you in a different color, you know.
That's true.
And you become, not, I won't say conservative, but you have a certain way of modus operandi that the way you do work and so forth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us and guide all of us, and Yasir Qadhi and all the brothers, guide this ummah. And sometimes these alims, especially at the top, in terms of community, and they have the position, they have a lot of pressure on them to find solutions for the ummah. And sometimes they'll say they make mistakes because they are not the imams of the past. They're imams of this time. And that's why they need very senior ulama around them or above them to guide what they put in public, what they discuss in public. This is very extremely important. And the last thing is, if you do make a mistake, it's a very simple thing. Do a retraction.
I stuffed up.
Yeah, I made a mistake. This is my mistake.
No.
I was not right to say this. They should look. There has to be a lot of introspection into what they've said.
Well, and also you got to be real with yourself.
What's a saying that if your friend criticizes you, the enemy's criticism is of no value, and the friend's praise is of no value.
Subhanallah.
You look at your friend's criticism
And your enemy's praise.
and if your enemy's praising you on something, that's probably a feather in your cap. Yeah, it's probably the feather in your cap. You probably are doing something good. If your friend's criticizing you, you should pay attention to what he's saying. You know.
See, this is the thing. I'm now worried about sitting in your dars, because if you ask me a question and then it's such an amazing answer that I give, then you might get up and make me sit in that chair. So I haven't got time for that. So this is why I'm not sitting in your dars.
That's why I don't get.
See, I've got to think.
Alhamdulillah, you're praying.
I'm thinking ahead. I'm just thinking long term. I don't want to ruin your career.
Yeah, jazakallah khair.
On that note, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. And if you have any comments, please leave the feedback in the comment section.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.